Good to have time with you again. We have comprehension. We're going to consider a passage at Unit 20, letter B3. Unit 20, letter B3 will be our passage today. So what we are going to do today is to study the structure of the piece of writing we have at Unit 20, to study the structure of the piece of writing. Then have answers to these questions. Which of the forms of literature that is that piece of writing, the form or the type of literature that is, and then identify the characters in the passage, and also find an appropriate theme for the passage. Find an appropriate theme for the passage. That's what we are going to look at briefly. Okay, so we learned that literature is in three main parts. We have prose, we have drama, and we have poetry. We have prose, drama, and poetry. So when you take your book and you open to Unit 20, letter B3, what do you see there? Where will you classify that piece of writing? Very good. It can be classified under what? Drama. So that piece of writing is a drama. Quickly glance through and make out the number of characters in that. Okay, I guess it is obvious. We have three main characters in that piece. Okay, now for the theme, after going through the passage, you know what exactly the drama is about. Okay, so the theme is going to be the central idea, the main idea upon which the writing is based. Okay. So yes, we have answered the question. We say it is a drama and we have three main characters in that. So what then is a drama? When we say drama, mainly or basically when we say drama, it is a piece of writing, okay, which is intended to be acted on a stage before audience. It is intended to be acted on a stage before audience. Okay. It also has to do with a dialogue where we have more than one person communicating. So the communication between two or more people is a dialogue. And so these people communicate, and they communicate to the audience because they want to send a message across. So that is it basically on drama. Okay, so when we take that piece, we come across these keywords. We have dangerous, reminding, suspicious, suggest. Dangerous, reminding, suspicious, suggest. When we say something is dangerous, it is risky. Okay, something that is intended to cause injury or harm. It is therefore unsafe and it is threatening, and it is very serious. Then the word remind, mostly we use remind and remember wrongly. Okay, when you are being reminded of something, then you remember, you get to know what exactly you want to do. So I can remind you, but I cannot remember you. The remembrance is done by the individual himself. So you remember, but you are being reminded of something perhaps you may have forgotten. Then suspicious, okay, suspicious from the word to suspect. So a feeling that something is wrong. Okay, so to suspect or to suspect someone of something. Then to suggest is to give your opinion or say something for consideration. So you say something, you want it to be considered. So that is your opinion, your suggestion. Okay, so the summary is about it's about James and Tom, who are in the same class, and James sees his friend with a blade and confronts him in order to stop him from using that old blade. Tom got offended because James warned him of the possibility of contracting AIDS if he uses his father's old blade. This got Tom very irritated. The teacher appears at the scene to save the situation. After hearing from the two, he told them to come with him. So the passage or the drama is about these two boys who are in the same class, and after a lesson, they had been taken through a lesson on AIDS. And so the other saw his friend with a blade, and as a good friend, he admonished his friend not to use that blade. And explaining further, he told the friend that there's a possibility that that old blade in his hand, perhaps the one who used it has AIDS, and he can't use it because if he harms himself with that sharp instrument, there is a possibility of him contracting AIDS. So the friend got offended because the blade he was about to use is from a source which is reliable, from his father, and so he trusts that no, my father doesn't have AIDS, and so therefore even when I use his old blade, I won't contract AIDS. So there is miscommunication, okay? One trying to save the situation, the other who misunderstood what the friend said, and they got into an argument. We drew the teacher's attention to the scene, and so after listening to the two sides, he decided to take them inside and to calm them by explaining further. So quickly, I'll take you through the passage. It would have been nicer if you were reading with a friend, but let's see how this passage can be read. So we're going to start with Tom. Hey, don't use that blade. Why not? That's James. Then Tom. It is an old one. It can be dangerous. How silly. This is only a blade my father used to shave. You see? What if your father has AIDS and the blade had cut him? How dare you suggest that my father has AIDS? Then the teacher appeared at the scene. What did I just hear? Then James, sir, you heard right. Tom said my father has AIDS. What? That's a serious thing to say. Then Tom replied, please, sir, that was not what I said. He was going to use an old blade his father had used to shave. I was only reminding him about what we learned yesterday about HIV or AIDS. Then the teacher, oh, I see. You are just practicing what you learned from the lesson yesterday, but you don't need to be so suspicious of everyone. Come, all of you, and I will discuss this further. I hope that is clear. I'll take the passage again. So Tom started. Hey, don't use that blade. Then James, why not? Then Tom, it is an old one. It can be dangerous. How silly. This is only a blade my father used to shave. You see? What if your father has AIDS and the blade had cut him? How dare you suggest that my father has AIDS? What did I just hear? Sir, you heard right. Tom said my father has AIDS. What? That's a serious thing to say. Please, sir, that was not what I said. He was going to use an old blade his father had used to shave. I was only reminding him about what we learned yesterday about HIV or AIDS. Oh, I see. You are just practicing what you learned from the lesson yesterday. But you don't need to be so suspicious of everyone. Come, all of you, and we will discuss this further. Okay, so do you think James acted correctly? Do you think he acted in the right way? What are some of the things you would say to them if you were the teacher? What are some of the things you would suggest to them if you were the teacher? Okay, so that's it on the passage. And I've given a summary. So it is about 8. And then one warning the other to desist from using a used blade. And the other did not understand because he trusted the source of the blade. And so the teacher appeared at the scene looking at what exactly they were driving at, and decided to look further into it and advise the two of them. So we realized from the passage that sometimes when we do not communicate properly, we could be offending the other. So it is very necessary, important that we communicate properly. When communicating, we do that properly. Okay, so this is the assignment we are going to do. Page 148, letter C. Assignment number 1 to 5. Answer the questions. Answer the questions on the passage. 1. Why should James not use the blade? Why do you think that James shouldn't use the blade? Per the passage you have read, why do you think James shouldn't use the blade? 2. Why was James sure of his safety? Why was James sure of his safety? Then 3. In what way was James making a mistake? In what way was James making a mistake? Then 4. In what way was James offended? When he was confronted, he got offended. In what way was he offended? Then the last one, did Tom say James' father had AIDS? Do you think that by what he said, did he mean that James' father had AIDS? So that will be all for now. Thanks so much for your time. Make time and read the dialogue properly. And as you read, you will understand. Trust me, you can also read alone. Just use tonation, 1 for each character, and be able to understand what the passage is about. Read more on your own. Okay? Reading more makes you a better person. Enjoy the rest of the day. Bye-bye.